Is your HOA always this fair gate creek? Karen slaps a violation onto my farm gate at dawn. Binder up like a badge. She fined, mocked, threatened. Still, my laser pin reads 47 feet outside her map. Neighbors freeze as concrete hums and policy turns petty. Then the deed and permit hit the projector paper stamp, fluorescent glare. SR 2025-04107 opens. Fonts don't lie, and the fake notice cracks on screen. Next week, we read it into record. Anyway, clubhouse lights go dark and refunds post-proof at the door gavel echoing. I hit record before she hit the gate. The red dot winked on my phone, 20 feet back on a tripod. Karen strode up the gravel HOA binder, tucked like a badge. She smoothed a fresh sheet to my cedar post and taped each corner with care. The header screamed, Maple Ridge Estates Notice of Violation. Filed 0317. I said, tapping the clipboard label. Ma'am, I said level you're taping a document on property that isn't under your association. Unauthorized construction, she read for the birds. Immediate cessation pending architectural review. The committee was disbanded in 2019. I held the laser on the boundary pin. The beam skimmed dew and crabgrass. And this lot sits 47 feet outside your jurisdiction. She pivoted sunglasses mirroring my concrete mixer. You don't get to decide that. The board will. The county already did. The drum rolled. I measure twice. I document everything. Across the street, Mrs. Henderson lifted a mug. Morning, Dan, she called. Diner steam drifted in the cool. Got you on my porch camera if you need it, she added. A mail truck sighed at the cluster box and clattered away. Routes on time, the carrier said to no one, sorting like a metronome. Karen pressed the notice hard enough to crease it. Failure to comply will result in daily fines. Fines from who I asked. Your binder, she stiffened. From this association. Then read me the statute. I raised the tripod 2 inches and zoomed. Out loud, please. She flipped plastic sleeves. Section 4.7. Municipal Code or Covenants. Community standards, she said. That's not a statute. The laser chirped. I let the tone hang our silent beat. Hear that, I said. It's the beam, not a debate. The boundary pin sat where the plat said a steel dome with fresh orange paint. I'm ordering you to stop, she said. You don't have that authority, I said. If you believe you do, say it again for the camera. She squared to the lens. Stop work immediately. Add your full name and title. Karen Whitlock. Architectural Review Committee. Which was dissolved. I clicked the phone. Thank you. The breeze lifted the notice. The tape held. On my clipboard, the assessor overlay showed parcel lines in gray HOA jurisdiction hatched a clean gap between. I'd circled my lot in blue and wrote outside in block letters with the time. Printouts don't beat policy, she said. Policy doesn't beat recorded deeds. I slid out the deed embossed seal catching sunlight. Paper outlives noise. Her mouth twitched. Is that a threat? It's a sentence. I checked the grade stick. Proof outlives noise. She edged closer to the post. Her perfume cut through diesel and wet grass. If you pour, I'll call 911. Call them, I said. Ask for the county survey desk while you're at it. She blinked. For a second, my reflection looked back ballcap gray at the temples a man who'd spent decades laying out lines so nothing cracks later. You're trespassing, I added, eyes on the pin. Please step back to your side. Her shoes rustled. She obeyed half an inch. We'll see you at the board meeting tonight. You won't, I said. I tapped the notice. Because it's fraudulent and the board president's email says so. She laughed, quick and sharp. You think that email matters? It will when the case file lands in the portal. I held the label where she could read it again, filed 0317. That's the timestamp. Morning, the mail carrier called from the curb. Morning, I answered, keeping my eyes on Karen. She tapped the paper like a judge with a toy gavel. Stop the mixer, she said. No. Hear that? I said. Just doves, a mixer, and a freeway. No gavel. On her porch, Mrs. Henderson set her mug down with a soft clink. Keep it civil, the carrier called, rolling on. Delete that video, Karen said to the tripod. That would be spoliation, I said. You wouldn't want that on the record, would you? I want you in compliance. You want control, I said, still even. I want a wall that's square. She lifted the binder. Plastic lamination flashed. Last chance. I've had 30 years of last chances, I said. That's why I measured twice. The laser chirped again. I read the distance so the mic would catch it. 47 feet to your HOA line. Confirmed by beam plat and assessor. Her jaw set. Then I'll escalate. There's the word, I said. On camera. She tugged at the page. The tape held. The header looked official at a glance, but the font was wrong and the case number used dashes where the county used slashes. I let the lens study the tells. Mrs. Henderson, I called, eyes still on the post. Did you see who posted this? Sure, did she said. 7:01, right after the truck rolled in. Would you be willing to state that later? For the county. Yes. Karen's phone buzzed. She glanced, frowned, pocketed it. I lifted a gloved finger to the notice's corner and took oblique photos so the emboss would read later. The sun edged up toward a perfect cure. She retreated 2 steps into her own grass. This isn't over, she said. It's recorded, I said. That's what matters. I framed the gatepost notice and boundary pin together. The tripod's LED blinked. I locked the shot and spoke for the record, steady and slow, and 0317, county jurisdiction confirmed. I propped the notice against my tailgate and clicked the flashlight to rake across the paper. This looks official enough to fool someone, I said into the camera mic. The font pretended to be county. The spacing told the truth. Mark, from the corner house, drifted over barbecue smoke lifting from his backyard like a flag of weekend plans. Dana rolled up in her white SUV and idled at the curb window down. Karen hovered at the property line with her binder cocked like a shield. Mind if I look? Mark asked. It's public now, I said. She taped it to my gate. Dana leaned out. We just don't want drama. Property values. You know, Karen stepped in. The architectural committee reviewed his plans. He's out of compliance. I laid my metal ruler along the header. Your committee was dissolved in 2019. That's 6 years of pretending. I tapped the laser measure. The screen glowed a number everyone could read. 47 feet outside your HOA. Community standards still apply, Karen said. Covenants aren't jurisdiction, I said. Deeds are. Mark squinted at the seal. Why's the emboss so flat? Because it's a desktop stamp, I said. County uses a raised steel die. I tilted the page. The light didn't catch. The camera did. Dana glanced between us. Could we please just slow this down? Karen lifted a laminated card. We're acting under advisory authority. Show me the statute, I said. Or show me names of the committee members. Confidential, she said. That's convenient. The subdivision woke up behind us, sprinklers clicking garage doors, yawning a bulletin board flyer 2 houses down, flapping on its pushpins about a community cookout bring sides. Someone turned ribs. The scent of dry rub settled over the street. I set the notice under a binder clip and marked the margin, font mismatch. Seal flat. Case format wrong. For the record, I said to the lens this case number uses dashes. County uses slashes. Dana folded her hands on the steering wheel. Karen, is this accurate? About the committee? Karen opened her binder buying time with plastic sleeves. We retained an advisory panel. Names I said. Credentials. Volunteers, she said. Concerned homeowners. Volunteers can't stop permitted work, I said. This is a farm lot, not your common area. Mark cleared his throat. So, if he's legal, why push him? Karen nodded toward my forms. His wall violates aesthetic uniformity. I looked at the chalk mark on the string line. The wall will be 18 inches taller than your SUV, Dana. That's by design. Dana's eyebrows jumped. 18. Precision matters, I said. Sightline wind load privacy. On my property. Karen smiled thin. See, he's admitting impact. Impact isn't jurisdiction. I turned the notice over and photographed the back for printer tells. Petty, lawful wins, twice. What does that mean? Mark asked. Small rules properly followed beat big noise, I said. Karen exhaled through her nose. We'll fine you daily until you comply. Write it up, I said. I'll staple it to the fraud report. Mark leaned on the tailgate. Can the HOA even find someone outside it? No, I said. But the threat plays well on Facebook. Silence fell, the awkward kind where everyone waits for someone to be wise and nobody volunteers. The silent beat stretched, Dana drumming the wheel, once Mark studying the gravel, Karen fixing a hollow smile. I broke it. Here's what will happen. I'll send this to code compliance. They'll assign a case. They'll ask for evidence. I'll give them this paper, this video, the plat, and the deed. You love your paperwork? Karen said. Paper keeps fences from becoming fights, I said. Dana tried again. Could you lower the wall a little? Meet in the middle. I measured the middle, I said, tapping the grade stick. The middle is 18 inches above your roof line. That's the standard for this wind corridor. You're being difficult, Karen said. I'm being precise, I said. There's a difference. A lawn crew trundled by in a rattling pickup, a magnet sign advertising mow and go. The driver gave us the look workers give people who argue while others sweat. The smell of cut Bermuda drifted past. Look, Mark said, palms out. If the county says he's clear, they don't get the last word, Karen snapped. They do, I said. On jurisdiction, they absolutely do. I flipped to the assessor printout on my clipboard and held it where they could all see. Parcel lines in clean gray. HOA overlay in hashed shading. A neat corridor of county land separating the 2 by 47 feet. I'd drawn a blue circle around my lot and printed outside in block letters the way you label a breaker panel you want your kids to respect forever. Dana leaned closer. Her voice dropped. Karen, is this accurate? It landed heavier the second time. The neighbor's voice, not the committee's. The part of every street where people decide if they want peace or a show. Karen didn't answer. She stared at the overlay, then at the camera, then at me. The smile stayed. The certainty leaked. Here, I said, sliding the notice back toward her. Take your document home, file it properly. Or don't. But don't tape fake authority to my gate. She didn't take it. I clipped it back under the binder and wrote, received with the time. The small act turned her paper into mine. Tonight, Karen said, board meeting at the clubhouse. We'll address this publicly. Address it at the county, I said. They hold the map. Dana's SUV chimed a seatbelt warning. She clicked it. If the committee was disbanded advisory, Karen said fast. Then who reviews anything Dana finished? Karen pulled a breath like she was about to swim. We do. We care. Mark rubbed his chin. Care is good. Credentials are better. He handed the notice back. I kept my glove on. The camera watched the transfer like a notary. Last ask, Dana said. Just keep it neighborly. That's the goal, I said. Neighborly starts where the line is. Karen tucked the binder to her ribs. Expect escalation. On camera, I said, letting the words sit. The bulletin board flyer popped free of one pushpin and flapped twice before holding. Somewhere a grill lid clanged shut. A dove called from the utility wire. The soundscape of a street that wanted to be boring. My phone buzzed on the tailgate. A clean, friendly ping. The screen lit Sub-G 412-07 County Code Notice Intake Confirmation. I angled it so the lens could see, and that I said quietly, is the county saying hello. The coffee pot hissed its last breath just as my phone buzzed on the counter. Ray, got your file. Want to see something? He'd been my zoning supervisor before retiring into the county office. The man could read an ordinance like it was Morse code. By the time I wiped my hands and opened the front door, he was already halfway up the walk, tie crooked thermos steaming in one hand and a thick envelope in the other. Smells like paper trouble, he said, stepping inside. Karen, trouble, I said. She forged a notice. He grunted, that old inspector's sound of someone who's seen too many falsified plats. Then pour me a mug and show me the evidence. We sat up at the kitchen table. Sunlight cut through the blinds, striping across Map's copies, and my phone still showing the frozen frame. Filed 0317. The printer blinked amber, the hum of the fridge filling the quiet. Ray laid the fake notice between us like a forensics exhibit. He ran a thumb over the header. Pretty work for a liar. Official enough to fool someone, I said. He smirked. That's what most forgeries count on. He leaned closer, reading aloud. Maple Ridge Estates, notice of violation. Then he squinted, brow tightening. You see it? See what the typeface? He said, tapping the paper. County uses Garamond condensed. This is Calibri, widened, no tracking correction. I blinked. You're serious? Fonts. He laughed once low. Kid fonts don't lie, never have. The words stuck in the air. He motioned for the desk lamp from my tool bench. I plugged it in. The halogen glare washed the table in white. He slid my authentic deed next to Karen's fake notice. 12-tooth seal on the real one, he murmured, counting around the embossed edge. 10 on hers. Wrong die. He flipped the sheet, angling it to catch the light. Printer ID dots, faint yellow. You can barely see them unless you know what to look for. He circled them with a pencil. HP Envy, consumer model. County prints on Lexmark Enterprise, which embeds at 45-degree angle. She printed this at home. So she forged the whole thing. Whole thing, he said, sipping coffee. Even the footer's wrong. Look at the case number format dashes instead of slashes. He wrote evidence of alteration in neat block letters on a sticky note. The soft thud of his rubber date stamp came next, final and clean. Silent beat. Fraud, I asked quietly. Fraud, he confirmed. We'll need an SR code for tracking. He booted his laptop screen, reflecting the blinds. Lucky for you, the county still loves paper trails. As he typed, I watched the laser from my level blink on the counter, same rhythm as the printer light. That pin you showed on video, he said, it's solid. Set with rebar, I said. Surveyed twice. Good. Keeps your asset intact. That'll matter once this goes up the chain. He scrolled fast, muttering. Complaint type. HOA, misuse of jurisdiction. Forging official notice. Yep. A printer whine cut through the room. The output tray caught the page like a receipt from Justice. Ray held it up. Here. Draft fraud referral. Code SR 2025-04107. He slid it over. The heading shown in crisp, lawful black. Think the governor's office will actually see this, I asked. They will, he said. Fraud referrals route through zoning first. And I'll flag it priority because of the seal mismatch. I ran a hand through my hair. All this over a wall. All this because someone thinks fake paper wins. He capped his pen. It never does. Paper's a patient witness. He gathered the exhibit's notice deed photos and stacked them perfectly. You'll need a copy for your record. I've got a binder started, I said. Good man. You were always the binder type. He smiled. That's why I called you back when we built the retention vault. I chuckled. Yeah, and you said the same line fonts don't lie. He pointed at me, and they still don't. Every bureaucrat's Rosetta Stone is typography. The fridge clicked off, leaving a humless moment between us. He looked toward the garage door where my old tool bench sat against a neon work light buzzing faintly. Charts, torque tables, and one cracked photo of my crew from the 90s hung behind it. He nodded toward it. Still got the same bench. Same one I said. He smiled. Some things deserve permanence. The printer light blinked green again. Ray checked his watch. Time to file this before lunch. You'll get an email confirmation once it clears the fraud queue. What happens then? Investigation. They'll subpoena the printer logs from the HOA office. If they match the dot code, she's done. I leaned back. I didn't want a war. You didn't start one, he said, standing. You're just building your fence straight. He closed the laptop, slung the strap over his shoulder, and tapped the folder once. I'll handle the paperwork. Keep your camera rolling. He walked toward the door. Oh, and Dan. Yeah. He smiled without turning. Next time someone hands you a fake notice, check the kerning first. After he left, I sat at the table staring at the empty mug, the neat pile of evidence, and the sunlight crawling across the county seal. The printer beeped once more, a soft, final confirmation. I opened my email. Subject, Fraud Referral. SR 2025-0417. The cursor blinked under the timestamp 09:42 a.m. The kitchen smelled like coffee and toner. The hum of the neon light blended with the tick of the cooling pot. For the first time in days, the line between my land and their lies felt clear, printed, stamped, and archived. Ray was right. Fonts don't lie. The server fans came up like wind over a culvert, steady and cool. Drive lights blinked green along the rack as the footage crawled from phone to NAS, from NAS to the county share. 3 progress bars, 3 angles, 1 story. I set the petition template on the desk and typed the header TTRO, Temporary Trespass Restraining Order, Bazar 1207. The cursor pulsed. Timestamps waited like mile markers. "Ray, you on?" I asked, hitting speaker. "On," he said. "Got your SR 2025-041 and receiving thread open. Let's build this clean." I scrubbed the first clip back to 0315, my tripod cam. Karen's silhouette stepped through the frame binder, tucked shoulders squared like she owned my sky. "Angle A," I said. "Copy," Ray answered. "Note entry, across posted boundary. Read the sign to the mic." I zoomed on the laminated placard wired to my post, "Private Permitted Construction Video in Use." The mic caught my own voice from earlier. "Sign present at 3:15, readable." "Good," Ray said. "Angle B." I opened the concrete company's pole cam. Angle widened. Karen drifted into it nearer to the mixer. Her hand rose, hesitated. The server hummed. Silent beat. Freeze at 3:15. 21, I said. Frozen, Ray said. Hand proximity to control panel, less than 6 inches, I said, measuring with the on-screen grid. We'll annotate. I overlaid a thin line from her wrist to the chrome lever. The reflection showed her sunglasses, the same pair that held my face earlier like a captured stamp. Angle C, Ray said. I brought up the driver's dash cam. The cab frame shook a little as the drum rolled, but the lens held on the mixer bay. Karen leaned in. The lever twitched. "Stop there," Ray said. Frame by frame. We ticked forward, 03, 15, 23, 14, 50, 16. The lever moved 2 degrees. The slump changed briefly like the mixer had cleared its throat. I wrote the line for the petition subject, placed hand on a contractor equipment causing operational variance. Interference observed across 3 synchronized feeds. Include non-accusatory verbs, Ray said. County likes verbs they can defend. Observed. Recorded. Synchronized, I said. Better. I clicked back to the petition and added Exhibit A, the 3 stills, each stamped 0315 plus frame counts. The TTRO form's left margin filled with checkboxes like a mechanic's oil sheet. Location verified. Notice posted verified. Prior contact recorded. Risk of recurrence high. The wall clock I'd rescued from the old post office ticked 10 after midnight. Its face still read U.S. Postal Service in faded blue. I liked how it kept government time even in my shop. Attach the assessor overlay for jurisdiction, Ray said. Already in, I said. The gray hatch of the HOA stopped 47 feet shy like a respectful neighbor from a different town. Add witness lines, Ray said. Mrs. Henderson. Driver, first name Luis. I said, checking the dispatch sheet. He said I could use his statement. Ray typed on his end. The keys sounded like rain on a metal roof. Service window for judge's inbox is 5 to 7 a.m. If we stage now, clerks will see it on first coffee. I smiled at the glow of the screen. The county does love its morning queue. That's where wins live, he said. Quiet and documented. I advanced the footage another 10 seconds. Karen's hand left the chrome, then came back. The mixer didn't mind. Concrete is patient. People aren't. I brought the 3 angles into a sync grid and turned on the time code burn-in. The digits blinked in bright white like runway numbers. I wrote a caption under the set, "Truth has a timestamp." Ray chuckled. "You're getting good at captions." "It's just engineering," I said. "Label what's solid." He cleared his throat. "Dan, show me the pin." "Copy." I dropped a still of the boundary pin from EO316 orange paint sharp against dark soil. I added a call-out pin risk adjacent trespass documented. The prop had carried us through 2 chapters. Tonight it looked nicked by the day, a scuff on the paint, a bit of gravel kicked in. R. I thought, ran. Hairline stress. Not broken. Not yet. Let's keep the pin in the narrative, Ray said, reading my mind the way old crews do. Judges like objects they can imagine kicking with a shoe. A coffee ring spread under my mug. The server fans held the room in a steady breath. I checked the TTRO fields again. Applicant Daniel H. Adams. Respondent Karen Whitlock. Basis repeated trespass equipment interference false notices. Statute Kiorn 1207. "Read me your declarations," Ray said. I read them like bolts torqued to spec. "I am the owner of parcel. The lot lies outside HOA jurisdiction by 47 feet. Notice posted at EO317 is fraudulent. Fonts and seals verified by county supervisor. At 0315, subject crossed boundary placed hand upon contractor's control lever. Interference recorded. Risk of further interference evidenced by prior statements." "Nice," he said. "Trim the adjectives. Keep fraudulent only where the exhibit proves it." "Trimmed," I said. He paused. "And Dan." "Yeah, keep it sober. The court hates spice." "I know," I said. "Truth has a timestamp." I exported the sync cut to Exhibit A, Sync 0315 to NMP4, and watched the progress bar creep. The server fans grew louder with the render, then settled back into their breathing. I saved the petition to a fresh folder, TTRO draft. My phone buzzed a calendar chime from the diner across Bell Road. Night Owl Special ran till 2 a.m. I pictured the waitress topping off Ray's coffee at some other late-night desk, a county away form, numbers traded like baseball stats. "Almost there," I said. "Count the frames, once more," Ray said. "We don't want a defense lawyer claiming maybe." I counted out loud like a survey prayer. 22 frames of contact on angle C, 12 on A, 6 on B. Overlap confirmed within 2 seconds. "Good," he said. "Drop that into your affidavit." I typed the sentence. The keys sounded loud in the quiet. I stamped the footer with my notary seal. The press sent a dull thud through the desk, solid as cured grout. "Ready?" Ray asked. I scrolled the last inch. Attachments XH. AD. Oath signed. I hovered over the blue button. The room felt like the inside of a mail truck before dawn, sorted, bundled, ready to move. The post office clock rolled past 12:15. Somewhere, a server room across town breathed in sync with mine. I clicked once and let the cursor rest on the confirmation screen. The words appeared in crisp, honest font, ready to file. The town hall smelled of burnt coffee and linoleum. Fluorescent tubes buzzed overhead, half a beat off from each other. A projector blinked alive at the front wall, throwing the county seal in white and blue. Folding chairs scraped, people whispered, phones lifted. The clerk adjusted her glasses and microphone. "Clerk. Sir, your file, SR 2025-0417, read into record." I stood. The banker's box by my boots held 3 months of evidence, top folder labeled Deed, Boundary Map. I carried it to the lectern. Behind the clerk, the bulletin board offered small-town texture, a BBQ flyer, a church rummage sale. The same HOA meeting notice I'd once been excluded from. I switched on the document camera. The screen filled with my deed. The embossed seal caught the projector light 12-tooth edge deep bite in the paper. The hum grew louder. Silent beat. Chair. "State your name for record. Me, Daniel H. Adams. owner of parcel outside Maple Ridge Estates by 47 feet. Verified jurisdiction per assessor overlay. 2 rows back, Karen sat stiff arms folded over a binder that used to intimidate half the subdivision. Not today. Chair deed entered as Exhibit 1. I added the overlay map. Gray hatch stopped clean before my line. This border, I said, tapping the laser pointer marks the end of their authority. Phones tilted to capture the screen. Someone whispered, 47 feet, chair. Proceed. I played Video A Tripod Cam. Timestamp 03:15 burned in the corner. The crowd leaned forward as Karen appeared in frame binder in one hand, other brushing the gatepost. Me angle. A shows entry past posted notice. Ray's voice came faint over speaker from the county office feed. Angle B confirmed. The screen split. Angle B poll cam joined. Karen's silhouette reached toward the chrome mixer lever. Me, proximity 6 inches. Hand visible. Chair, time stamp. Me, 03:15 and 21 seconds. Then, angle C. Dash cam flickered up. The lever twitched. The drum shifted pitch. Me operational variance. All angles synchronized. The clerk typed fast. The projector hummed deeper. The crowd caught the rhythm, a heartbeat made of fans and fluorescent light. Next slide, the fake notice. Header, bold, seal, off-center. Me. This document was taped to my gate. It claims HOA authority under County Pater 12-07, but the font is Calibri, not Garamond condensed. Seal has 10 teeth. Case number uses dashes instead of slashes. Printer dots trace to an HP Envy, not Lexmark Enterprise. A low rustle swept the chairs. Someone muttered, "That's not county stock." Chair. Source of analysis. Me County Zoning Supervisor Ray Ortega. Forensic notes filed with SR 2025-04197. Fraud referral attached. The clerk stamped the corner. Received 0317. Karen tried to speak. The Community Standards Committee authorized chair. You'll have rebuttal later. I tapped the next slide, an ID card enlarged 20 times. Laminate bubbles showed like fish eggs. Me. This badge identifies her as Community Standards Enforcement Officer. No record of such title in county or HOA roster. Council freeze frame for record. The image locked. The lie became geometry font too wide, seal too soft. A single clap sounded, then stopped. The room hung between disbelief and relief. I said quiet, but on-mic paper outlives noise. That line landed like gravel in a tin roof, sharp, true. Phones caught it. Council, recommendation accept Exhibits 1 through 4. Refer fraud for state review. Note parcel outside HOA jurisdiction. Clerk, stamp, thunk, filed. Karen rose half out of her chair. These recordings are private. Chair order, please. From the middle row, Dana lifted a trembling hand. So, are the fines we paid Real Board Secretary for Record Architectural Review Committee was disbanded in 2019. Any enforcement after that was unauthorized. The sound that followed wasn't a gasp. It was an exhale. Folding chairs squeaked as neighbors looked at each other. Mark. So we were threatened for nothing. Counsel, correct. Jurisdiction, invalid. Applause began small at first, then steady. The clerk didn't stop it. The fluorescent hum drowned beneath the rhythm of palms. When the noise ebbed, the chair leaned forward. Mr. Adams, any final motion? Yes, I said. I request that the temporary trespass restraining order drafted under HOA 12-07 be accepted for state review. Council meets the criteria. Chair clerk. The clerk switched slides. On screen appeared the header. Order SR 2025-04117. Accepted for state review. Projector hum rose like wind under a door. The clerk read aloud each word measured. By authority of Peoria County, Order SR 2025-0417 is hereby entered into state docket for review and action. The words hit with more weight than noise ever could. The crowd went quiet again. Karen's binder slipped from her lap. Papers fanned like white leaves across the floor. I gathered my exhibits, slid the deed back into its sleeve. The box felt lighter now. Proof does that. As I turned from the podium, an older man by the aisle caught my sleeve. He didn't smile, just said low enough for both our ages to hear it. Finally, someone fought back. I nodded. The projector kept the seal glowing behind me, blue over white, unblinking. The patrol car idled at the curb with its light bar dark. Morning heat hadn't found the street yet. My wall, the clean white run of block we'd argued into existence, threw a neat shadow across the gravel. A paper-straight HOA sign leaned crooked on Karen's side, one screw-stripped letters faded. A deputy stepped out, clipboard tucked under his arm. His boots didn't hurry. He met me at the fence line, the chain in my hand still warm from my palm. "Mr. Adams," he said, voice measured. He held up a single sheet in a plastic sleeve. Court injunction served. A small metal click followed as he unclipped a keyring from the evidence pouch and handed it to me. Silent beat the ring, settled against my skin, cold and deliberate. Karen stood 10 yards back with her phone up, lens catching everything like it could rewrite it. The mail truck at the corner coughed to life, diesel turning over slow, then steady. I wiped my hand on a tool bench rag I kept in my back pocket and met the deputy's eyes. "What's next?" I asked. "Notice and acknowledgement," he said. "Then locks." He turned toward Karen. "Ma'am, you've been named in order SR 2025-0417. You'll receive your copy." She lowered the phone a fraction. "I'm filming a violation of my rights." "Filming is lawful," he said. "Interference is not. Today is service and compliance only." He handed me a second pouch. Inside sat 2 brushed steel padlocks and a small envelope with a state seal. The envelope felt heavier than paper should. Karen's voice carried across the driveway. "You can't lock community assets." "These are contractor gates on private land," I said. "The county secured them until the pour is inspected. They affect the view," she said. "Jurisdiction isn't a view," I said. The deputy kept his tone even. "Ma'am, the order restricts entry to named parties. That includes you." She pressed the phone closer. "You're siding against the neighborhood." "I'm executing a court order," he said. "That's the side I get." I walked to the north gate. The hinge plate gleamed. I'd painted last night to clean off the fingerprints she'd left at 8:03:15. The chain rattled. The new lock slid through weight sure in my hand. I squeezed the shackle closed. Click! The sound carried down the block through sprinklers and small talk and the low rumble of the mail truck engine making the turn. It felt like a pin hitting home. "Second lock," the deputy said. I crossed to the south gate and repeated the motion, the chain a neat figure 8. Click! The sound echoed a quiet metronome in daylight. Karen edged closer. "You can't block architectural review. The review was dissolved years ago," I said. "The board set it on record." She filmed the padlock like it could confess. "You just forced a wall on this street." "The wall is permitted," I said. "What's forced is compliance with the law." The deputy opened the plastic sleeve and read the operative line so the mic on her phone would catch it. "By authority of the court, temporary restraining order. Under HR 12-07 entry by respondent prohibited. Tampering with contractor equipment prohibited. Posting of false notices prohibited." He turned the sheet for her camera. "You'll sign acknowledgement of receipt. That's not admission. That's proof you heard me say those words." She hesitated. "Where?" "By the curb," he said. "Nice light for the camera." She huffed, but followed sandals slapping. Her HOA sign leaned another degree, watching nobody. I broke open the small envelope. 2 keys lay on the card stamped 41A and 41B. Each had a thin notch pattern that caught the sun in rows. The sinuses in my head eased like a pressure door finally cycling. Karen kept filming. "This will not stand." "It already did," I said, nodding at the wall. And it will keep standing." She flinched at that, not the volume, the certainty. The deputy held his clipboard flat pen ready. "Printed name," he said. Karen signed. The pen squeaked on the surface like a small protest. He flipped the page and tapped. "Date, time, and initial here for the video consent." She glanced at him. "I didn't consent." "You held the camera," he said. "Consent to be recorded comes with holding a camera in a public place." She initialed anyway, letters tight. He tore off the yellow copy and passed it. "Your copy, ma'am. Remember, violations of this order go to the judge, not to a committee." I slid one key onto my own ring and placed the other in a small safe box inside the truck. The steel touched steel and gave that same honest report. "Justice sounds like metal," I said. The deputy almost smiled. "You'd be surprised how often I hear that." Karen's phone wavered. "You're all very proud of yourselves." "Proud?" I said. "No, relieved." Down the street, a garage door rolled up with a belt motor whine. Mark stepped out with a coffee in a styrofoam cup. He watched the deputy in the locks and then gave me a small two-finger salute, blue-collar punctuation. "Mr. Adams, the deputy, said inspect your fence line one more time for tamper points." I walked the run corner post, true, capstones, tight mortar, cured to a touch that didn't give. The HOA sign on her side wobbled in its own hole. The letters Maple Ridge cracked along the M. The wall shone like something finished and honest. Karen called after me. "You think a lock changes anything?" "It changes future trespass into jail time," I said. She took a step, then checked herself. The deputy didn't raise his hand. He didn't need to. The paper in his palm made the line for him. I knelt to the chain and tugged it once firm. The padlock answered with a low, metallic assurance. The street held still for half a breath. "Deputy," I said, "thanks for making this clean." "That's the job," he said. "Keep it between paper and hinges." He handed me a small sticker. "Notice of injunction in lowercase block. Place this near each lock," he said. "It's not required. It's polite." I stuck the first next to the chain, the adhesive bit. The letters looked boring, which felt right. Dana's SUV backed out of her driveway slow. She paused near the curb window down. "Is it over?" "It's formal," I said. "That's the version that lasts." Karen recorded her own face now performing outrage for a phone. Her expression landed somewhere between shock and rehearsal. The deputy ignored the lens. "Anything else?" I asked him. He checked his watch. "One more line for the mic." He faced her camera voice level. "This scene concludes service of order SR 2025-04197. Further enforcement is under state injunction 12-07. The last words hung in the morning like a placard bolted to air. The mail truck eased away, turn signal ticking like a metronome for the day. I pocketed the keys. The ring knocked against my truck door when I opened it. Another small metal echo walked the block and came back. Nothing dramatic. Just enough to tell the truth had a sound, and we'd all finally heard it. The community center smelled of coffee and varnish, the kind that clings to chairs older than the people using them. A flag stood to the right of the podium, its fringe catching light from the morning sun. Folding chairs filled the room again, same faces, different mood. At the front, the projector hummed, throwing a bright rectangle onto the screen, State of Arizona, Office of the Governor. The state seal rotated once, then held steady. Reporters whispered near the back, adjusting tripods. The door opened. Ray Ortega stepped in, same tie, same calm. His county badge gleamed under the fluorescence. The hum softened as if even the machines were listening. He nodded toward me and unfolded a folder stamped Received 0317. "By order of the state of Arizona," he said, voice steady through the mic, and pursuant to SR 12-07 and subsequent findings under SR 2025-0417. He paused, letting the echo die. Silent beat. "The registration of the Maple Ridge Estates Homeowners Association is revoked, effective immediately." A murmur spread, disbelief, relief, applause, tangled. Cameras blinked red dots. The flag behind him barely moved, but every person seemed to breathe a little deeper. Ray raised his hand for quiet. The governor's office issued this state registration revocation order confirming fraud and unauthorized enforcement. All liens, fines, or restrictions issued by this dissolved HOA are void. A refund period and audit window begin today. He looked up from the page and met my eyes. Mr. Adams, your evidence initiated this review. A few heads turned toward me. I didn't stand. The chair under me felt rooted, steady, deserved. Karen sat near the aisle, hands folded tight, no phone this time. The binder she'd once weaponized lay closed on her lap. Its corners were bent paper, wilted with old heat. The county clerk stepped up beside Ray. To all residents affected, funds collected under non-authorized action since 2019 will be refunded in full. Audit window 60 days. Someone near the back whispered, 100%. Ray nodded. 100%. A low applause started from the right, then grew until it filled the hall. Even the TV crews paused filming to join in. The sound rolled under the projector hum, a soft percussion of justice. When it settled, Ray lifted the second page. This section reads, he tapped it for the microphone, the HOA shall be struck from the State Registry of Associations. Further, reactivation requires new charter-verified council and majority resident approval. He folded the document carefully as if it were a flag. This is SR 2025-041 scene. The state has spoken. Karen stood. Her voice was smaller than before. So, what happens to the community? Ray didn't gloat. You stay a community. You just stop pretending to be a government. The crowd gave a small, respectful laugh. Karen's shoulders lowered. She didn't smile, but the tightness left her face. I watched her eyes move toward the keys on the podium, the same ones from the injunction. The symbol turned from control to closure. She exhaled. We all just wanted things neat. I said quietly, neat's fine. Fair's better. Ray caught it and nodded, microphone catching the low resonance of agreement. The clerk motioned to the table near the wall. Stacks of envelopes, refund forms, and verification sheets waited under the soft spin of a ceiling fan. A coffee urn steamed next to a box of powdered creamer, and someone had brought muffins, the unofficial mark of peace talks. Ray gestured to me. Mr. Adams, I'll let you read the closing paragraph. I stood the mic warm under my fingers. Order Gnome, SR 2025-0417, revoked and recorded. Compliance verified. Refund and audit initiated. Community released from unauthorized governance. My voice didn't shake, but my breath shortened halfway through. Ray added, it's public record. As of this morning, entered under state registration revocation order. The clerk stamped the file one last time. Thunk. That sound rippled through the room like punctuation. Applause built again, cautious at first, then real. Someone started a chant from the middle rows. Boundaries matter. It caught row by row until the words blended with the hum of the lights. The phrase wasn't about fences anymore. It was about knowing where authority stopped. Even Karen whispered it once, maybe by mistake, maybe not. Ray looked toward the flag. That's what rule of law sounds like, he said, smiling. I added, almost under my breath, law is the loudest silence. He heard it, and the cameras did too. The clerk unplugged the projector. The screen froze for a breath on the embossed seal edges glowing gold before the light faded. People began to stand, chairs scraping the noise human again. The coffee urn hissed. The scent cut through the paper and applause. Ray handed me a copy of the order folded once along the state seal. Keep it, he said. Proof travels lighter than rumor. I ran my thumb over the raised lettering. The texture bit just enough to feel permanent. Karen approached slow, unsure. You'll rebuild the wall, I nodded. Already done. She hesitated. Maybe I'll plant something along it. Something neutral. Cactus, I said. Her laugh was short but real. Something native. We shook hands, brief, procedural. The crowd drifted toward sunlight and parking lots. Ray lingered near the podium adjusting the flag. The hall emptied except for the echo, a mix of coffee cups, camera bags, and that last line stamped in memory. Order SR 2025-04177, State Registration Revoked. The fluorescent lights hummed their steady refrain. Justice. I thought doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a seal cooling under a projector, a lock clicking shut, or a crowd breathing together in quiet relief. Outside, the day was bright enough to start over. The engraver knelt beside the wall, tapping the last screw into the bronze plate. Each strike landed with a soft, metallic patience. The plaque read, Boundary Restored, 2025. The letters caught the sunset, a deep amber glow sliding across the curb and up the new paint line. On the porch, I sat with a cold beer sweating in my hand. The air smelled of BBQ smoke and desert dust, and someone down the block tuned an old radio to a baseball game. A flag fluttered over a garage roof, slow, deliberate, as if exhaling after a long trial. The street had quieted since the revocation. Neighbors waved again. Kids rode scooters past the spot where the HOA sign used to stand now, just clean gravel and a small row of cactus, something native, Karen had said. The mailbox clicked shut behind me, a soft thud like punctuation. Inside was an envelope from the district attorney's office. Day letter, filed, 07:45 a.m., RESR 2025-04117, formal plea acceptance. The state acknowledges receipt of guilty pleas from parties responsible for fraudulent filings under the Maple Ridge Estates Homeowners Association. Restitution to affected residents will continue under supervision. I folded it once and placed it beside the beer. The paper fluttered in the warm breeze, faintly smelling of toner and finality. Silent beat. The sun hit the plaque just right, making it too bright to stare at for long. Footsteps scuffed the driveway. A couple in their 30s, boxes in hand, moving trucks still idling, walked up. "You must be Mr. Adams," the man said. "We just closed on 41B. That's me," I said, standing. "Welcome to the quiet side." He grinned, setting the box down. "We heard about all that legal thing. Crazy stuff. Got loud for a while," I said. "Now it's steady." His wife looked toward the plaque. "You had this made?" "Yeah," I said. "Boundaries real again. Not just a line on paper." She smiled. "Pretty work. My dad's a machinist. He'd love that engraving." The man nodded. "You mind if I take a picture?" "Go ahead," I said. "Proof's public." He snapped one. The bronze caught the last light. A small lens flare painted the edge of the wall. Karen's car rolled by, slow window down. She waved no binder, no clipboard. Just a paper bag from the grocery store and a wave that landed easy. I raised my bottle in reply. She smiled once, almost shy, and kept driving. Ray had called earlier from County HQ. Order archived, he'd said. Case closed, files sealed, refund checks in the mail. I'd thanked him, and he'd just laughed. "Keep your laser measure handy. Somebody always moves a fence post eventually." As twilight deepened, I walked to the plaque. The engraver packed his tools, left a small card tucked under the frame. "If it tarnishes, call me lifetime polish." I brushed a speck of dust from the corner and felt the metal's warmth fade into cool. Behind me, the BBQ sizzled and someone shouted about overcooked ribs. The world was ordinary again, which felt extraordinary. The keys on my ring caught the fading sun. For months, they'd sounded like stress. Now they just jingled when I shifted my hand, a sound without weight. The new neighbors joined me at the fence plates of brisket in hand. The man said, "You build all this yourself." "Most of it," I said. "Engineering habit." He nodded toward the wall. "Straightest line on the block." "Boundaries matter," I said, smiling. The woman tapped the plaque. "They really do." We ate, leaning against the truck tailgate, grease and laughter mixing with the radio commentary. The flag's shadow stretched across the street and stopped right at the new concrete. As the sun dropped behind the houses, the plaque glowed once more, its letters sharp against the brick. I traced the edge with a finger. The metal was cool now, firm and finished. The breeze carried the last hiss from the grill and the low sound of a lawn sprinkler starting somewhere nearby. In the hush that followed the line came to me again, simple earned true. I looked at the wall, the house, the quiet street that had learned the sound of fairness. Finally, someone fought back.